accountability. And before you say, well, it's the military, they don't have freedom of speech, you're not allowed to give a political statement, Mark Milley was openly thrilled by the election of Joe Biden. Was he punished for that? No, he was elevated, and Congress, again, just rewarded him and the entire leadership of the U.S. military with $24 extra billion. But Stuart Scheller, for telling the truth, well, here's what happened to him. As a reminder, here's what Joe Biden was saying just a few weeks ago on ABC.
So no one told, your military advisor did not tell you, no, we should just keep 2,500 troops. It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that.
No one said that to me that I can recall.
It's not a defense of any of them. They're all so awful and so undeserving of leading this great country. They should not be in charge of this country. It's too good a country for people like this. So here you have the generals claiming they told Biden the Afghan withdrawal would be a total disaster.
No one said that to me that I can recall.
Biden, just in the tape you saw, says they did not tell him that. The question is, who's lying? Someone's lying. Joe Biden doesn't know who's lying. He can't remember anything. He doesn't know what he had for lunch. Here's what we know for sure, though, and this is the point of today's hearings, and it's the point that matters going forward. No one in the Pentagon's leadership will ever be held accountable for this, the latest in a very long string of colossal screw-ups that have dramatically reduced American power and prestige around the world and gotten a ton of people killed. No one. This is unbelievable. Let's say you worked at a nuclear power plant, and one day you had too many beers on your lunch break and you fell asleep and the reactor melted down and thousands died. And then you got a massive raise. That's pretty much what's happening here. The House of Representatives just passed a $776 billion defense budget. How big is that? Well, it's fully $24 billion more than even the White House requested. In other words, Congress just threw a little extra for a job well done, a bonus for the generals who left $80 billion worth of American military equipment for the Taliban to use. Good work, guys. So it's official now. No one will ever be punished for any of it. Not for abandoning Bagram Air Base. That was idiotic. Everyone knew it. They did it anyway. Not for leaving American citizens behind as they fled. Not for leaving our troops exposed to the attack that killed 13 young American servicemen. Not for the drone strike, the one they lied about for weeks. The people who did these things are in great shape tonight. They will retire exactly when they feel like retiring, at which point they will get full benefits and jobs at Lockheed. That's how our system now works. It's very, very frustrating. Not because recrimination is good, but because in order to function, a system has to be accountable. And as of tonight, there's only one man in the entire U.S. government who is being punished for the failure, the catastrophic failure in Afghanistan. Just one man. His name is Stuart Scheller. He is Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Marine Corps. He is an honorable and honest man. He is also blameless. Scheller had no role in any of these decisions. What was his crime? His crime was criticizing those decisions. In August, he posted this video on the internet.
If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise, and I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone?
So that's an honorable man you just saw on the screen. That's a man who's in it for the right reasons, not to get promoted or work at Lockheed, but because he cares about the country and wants to defend it. There's a man who believed in his superiors, who is not cynical, who is genuinely confused by his superiors' unwillingness to admit their own error. His confusion comes from decency. And almost immediately, his superiors reacted to that video. They didn't apologize for the disaster. They didn't explain why they did what they did. They punished Scheller. They relieved him of his command, and they told him to shut up and stop talking. But he didn't stop talking. Here's how he responded.
To recap my position, in the fallout of Afghanistan, I demanded accountability of my senior leaders. And I stated then that I understood that I might lose my battalion commander seat, my retirement, and my family stability. As it has played out, I have in fact lost all three of those things. Would I do it again? I don't know. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller.
And I was the only officer in the entire American coalition fired in the debacle of the Afghanistan fallout. I acknowledge that I should have been fired. However, the hypocrisy of the general officers who are not being held to the same standard is a microcosm for the entire problem that is going to bring down the great institutions of this republic that we love.
So that's the man you want serving in your officer corps in a serious country. A person who takes his job seriously, who's patriotic, who's honest, who demands accountability. And before you say, well, it's the military, they don't have freedom of speech, you're not allowed to give a political statement, 2 points. One, that was not an explicitly political statement. In contrast, 2.2, the endless number of openly partisan statements from the leaders of the Pentagon. Mark Milley was openly thrilled by the election of Joe Biden. Was he punished for that? No, he was elevated. And Congress, again, just rewarded him and the entire leadership of the U.S. military with $24 extra billion. But Stu Scheller, for telling the truth, well, here's what happened to him. Military brass forced Stu Scheller to undergo a psychological evaluation because only a crazy person would ask for accountability after the disaster in Afghanistan. And then when he wouldn't admit he was crazy, they threw him in prison, in jail, where he sits tonight. Scheller's father just released this statement explaining that his son is now behind bars with violent criminals. And how long is he there? He's there indefinitely. This is happening tonight in America. Here's a quote from his father. All our son did is ask the question that everybody was asking themselves, but they were too scared to speak out loud. He was asking for accountability. In fact, I think he even asked for an apology that we made mistakes. But they couldn't do that, which is mind-blowing. They had a gag order on him and asked him not to speak. He did speak, and they incarcerated him. They don't know what to do with him. It's one of the worst stories of our time, and there are a lot of bad stories right now.